Michael Vasquez reporting from the Oceanside International Film Festival. I have Josie Fouts with the film Go Josie. Josie, can you tell us a little bit about your project and how this came together?
For sure. So it actually started with the pandemic and my love for riding my bicycle. And I found that I had a lot of time to ride my bicycle during the pandemic. And me being the person who I am, who is always making things up as I go and adapting to my environment, I found myself in the middle of the desert pulling up next to this guy in a van who I didn't know at the time had an Asian adopted wife and lived next door to a guy with two hooks instead of hands. And we hit it off immediately, and I was like, this is kind of weird. And he turned out to be the filmmaker, David, which was super awesome. And it was just like, we kind of just like ran with our energy, and it ended up like 6 months later to be shooting Go Josie. And really it was just like a fruition of just being outdoors and having that accessibility, also just being open to new experiences. And I think that's really why Go Josie was a success and why it was so easy to make it as well. It was kind of fun. He was like, well, how about we just first get like some content for your sponsors, and then it like rolled into like this bigger project, and we were like, wow, this is actually like one of the best things that I never knew I could actually do. So I really like the fact that it kind of pushed my limits of like who I am and who I think I can be. And now after seeing the other videos as well and the films, like I'm like, I could do more, I can be more. And I think that's the important part about sharing the stories too, and the power of film.
I think it's something special to share what you're going through and how you're adapting, so that other people are exposed to that, and they can take something away from that, and they can be inspired to do more the way you've been inspired.
Thank you. Yeah, so I learned that out of the whole population, 15% are considered disabled. But when you go and you look at media and you don't see somebody who is like you or could relate to like your actual life, you aren't inspired. And so it's really awesome that I have the opportunity not just to like reach a bigger audience, but to also reach a relevant audience, and to like really help people who actually need some inspiration to like get out there and to push themselves. And I think everybody needs that. Like, we are so much more than what we think we are, and I think it's really up to us to not let ourselves hold ourselves back, and to like take the opportunity and take the chances, and to like put the experiences and the people first before ourselves.
You know, I think with your positivity, you're shining a light out there. It inspires, even if someone doesn't have a disability or doesn't think they have a disability, you're inspiring everyone to look beyond themselves and to challenge themselves to be more.
Exactly. And I really hope that I can create a space and energy that is more inclusive of everybody. And I know that I don't represent all disabled people. I only represent, if you look at me, I only represent a small amount of limb difference people. But I really want to create an energy where it's like more about letting people who have smaller injuries, like maybe instead of like missing a left hand, they just sprained their hand, you know, like riding their bike or something. And so we can relate maybe in a shorter amount of time, but we can still relate, which is awesome. And I think like that's the point, is that we are more alike than we are different. And if we keep pointing out the things that make us different, we're going to feel disconnected. So I really like that we can actually like see the good in each other and showcase our abilities rather than our disabilities.
I really like that. And I also like the way you talked that going through this process of making the film, how you grew and you were able to accept more about yourself.
Oh, for sure. Like, this was therapy for me at the time, and a lot of these realizations were actually like me in the moment being like, oh, is that why you're asking me about my adoption? Because I first started off the interviews and I was like, I don't know why we're talking about this, but I'll roll with it because I'm going to open myself up. But but it's yeah, been quite the experience, and I'm definitely a better person because of it. And I know that other people are also better after seeing the video. So I'm like, wow, this is a lot of positive reinforcement. When usually I get a lot of struggle and barriers put up, and I'm like, this is so easy to just be open and to be myself. And it like not only empowers me, but it empowers the person next to me too. And I'm like, this is the easiest thing I could have ever done. So thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here to support your film. Can you tell us what maybe you've been inspired to do to go further, to stretch a little further?
Oh yeah. So now my new goal is to make para mountain biking or mountain paracycling to be a Paralympic sport. So when I met my filmmaker, David, in the middle of the desert, I went through this transformation where without the pressure and of racing and results, and to like have these like bigger goals than myself, I'm like, wow, well, what can I do for myself? What do I actually want to do? So it's interesting because like the way the Paralympics are set up, for example, I only have 2 disciplines to compete in, whereas the Olympics offers 4 for able-bodied athletes. And for me, like, turning right is much easier than turning left for obvious reasons. And so I realized, like, riding the velodrome, I'm like, wow, this kind of puts me in a position where I have to challenge myself, which is great, but also it's not the right environment because for some reason, just because everybody else has an easier time going left, like now I have to like try a little bit harder. So really, when the pandemic came along and I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do, I was like, I still want to ride my bike, but I want to ride my bike outside. And it's because like there is no straight line or like a fast line or the best line to take on the trails where they undulate and there's like rocks everywhere, and it's like you can't point out every little crack in rock or rut because like you're just going to get caught up in the details and go nowhere. So it like really opened up this idea to me that like life is riding like a bicycle, and it's not really about getting through something perfectly or having things look good. Like nobody's perfect, and that's something I've realized, accepting myself, that like I'm not perfect. So these are the things I need to do to like keep myself balanced, but at the same time accept every part of me, the good things and the imperfect things.
Josie, how can we connect with you on social media to support you and or just to connect with you?
You can follow me on Instagram at miss.stubbornness. It's kind of like a play on words, but also very true to who I am on the inside. I'm punny and I'm stubborn. Probably won't accept your help unless I ask for it, but feel free to try to give it to me.
We thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate everything you're doing.
This is awesome. This is super fun. Thank you.
Michael Vasquez reporting from the Oceanside International Film Festival.